maxxopolitan, this time with a list of culture shocks we as Germans experienced when we came to the US. Number one, classic 24-hour stores. Not only 24 hours, but also 24/7, open, 363 days a week, except for Christmas morning and Thanksgiving. I think even open on Thanksgiving, and also open on 4th of July, one of the most important holidays in the US. But yeah, we as Germans don't know stores that are open 24/7, that you can go to at night and actually go shopping. Well, of course we have, but they're more like kiosks, so like little, I don't know, stores where you can buy expensive stuff if you, I don't know, run out of alcohol or something like that, more like a gas station. But so we had to get used to the fact that we could go shopping anytime we wanted to, even on Sundays. Because in Germany, Sundays, surprisingly, who would have thought, are holy compared to the US, even though the US is way more religious than Germany is. Number two, alcohol. So Germans deal with alcohol a lot more freely and are a lot more liberal about it. Kids are used to drinking alcohol when they grow up because their parents will let them take sips of wine or champagne or beer at parties or whatever, so they don't have to do it secretly. At least that's how a lot of parents handle it in Germany. And especially in Bavaria, small kids grow up drinking beer. That's just part of the culture. In the US, it's a bit different actually. You're legally allowed to drink beer when you're 16 years old in Germany, and other things such as wine or champagne, and hard alcohol like whiskey, vodka, like anything over 20%, you're allowed to drink when you're 18. And also allowed to order in restaurants or bars. In the US, it's a little different. You're allowed to drink when you're 21, period. Regardless of if it's beer or vodka or whatever. And for us as Germans, like, of course, we heard about it before we came to the US, but we were still kind of shocked. Because not only can you not drink alcohol before you're 21, but it's also prohibited for minors to carry alcohol out of a store, like a case of beer, or it is even, and that's like the craziest thing ever for me, it is even prohibited for minors to carry out a trash bag that only has one empty can of beer in it, because in that empty can of beer there could be rest alcohol. So that's why I'm not allowed to carry it, and not allowed to even get in touch with it. So, huge shocker, alcohol, especially for Germans, because Germans like to drink, and the Americans do too, but they don't do it as publicly, because in Germany you're allowed to drink everywhere. Everywhere. Drinking in public is very, very common. You're allowed to have an open beer bottle, open vodka bottle out on a park bench and just fire away. In the US, strictly prohibited. You have to hide it somehow, and a lot of people pour it in styrofoam cups or just put it in the paper bags. Number three, the chocolate in the US is something you have to get used to as Europeans. If they have good chocolate, it's from Europe, but the chocolate that is made, the actual substance, like the chocolate, I'm not talking about candy bars and stuff, but like pure chocolate that is made in the US tastes like soap for most Europeans that try it for the first time. So Americans will know what I'm talking about, and Europeans that have tried it, it's Hershey's, and that really tastes like soap. But you get used to it and you'll start eating it after a while, and it's not going to taste disgusting anymore, but it's nothing compared to milk chocolate that comes from Europe, like Lindt or Milka, or like any kind of German or Swiss or Austrian chocolate. But you do need Hershey's chocolate for one thing, for a classic s'more. You can't make a classic s'more without Hershey's chocolate. So for the Europeans that don't know s'more, is like a sandwich that consists of graham crackers, which we also don't have in Europe, and marshmallows, like roasted marshmallows that you roast over a campfire, and then you also put Hershey's chocolate in that sandwich, and it tastes very, very awesome. But you can't make those in Germany because all we have here is marshmallows. Um, we don't have the Hershey's chocolate or the graham crackers. So anyone going to the US soon, or anyone coming back from the US soon, please bring me some Hershey's chocolate and some graham crackers. Number 4, the customer service in the US. Now, what a bomb. In Germany, we have the saying, der Kunde ist König, so the customer is king, but in the US, they actually take that seriously. The customer is always king. If you're checking out and the cashier rings something up and it costs more than what you've seen on the shelf, and you go, well, I've seen that on the shelf for $2.50 instead of $3.50, then she'll go, oh, okay, and she'll just type it in. And customer service is written very, very big in the US. They would rather give you something for free than let you be unsatisfied. So if you're at McDonald's and you get your food, you go outside, you come back inside and go, I was missing 3 burgers, then they will not hesitate. They will just give you 3 burgers, even if someone's taken advantage of it. In Germany, stores and companies would risk losing a customer just so they wouldn't have to give out an extra cheeseburger. And they would rather go in the back and check the price themselves than believe the customer that it costs less. The customer service in the US is just the best. They make you feel like you're the king, and they're always so friendly. Which brings me to my next point. Point number 5, the over-the-topness. And this is something that Europeans and people all across the world talk about, the over-the-topness of Americans. This supposedly played friendliness, but what I like about it is that it makes you feel good. Even if the cashier, when she says, hey, how are you? Or have a great day, or that's awesome, she doesn't really care about the individual and the individual story and how I am and if I'm gonna have a great day or not, but she makes me feel good. And in Germany, it's like if you go to the cashier and you ask her how she is, or if you're over talkative, then she'll look at you like you're harassing her or something like that, because they're just not used to it. And even if the cashier or the sales associate doesn't really care when they ask, hey, how are you? Or if they don't really mean it when they say, oh, that's awesome, that's freaking fantastic. Or if they don't really want to wish you a great day, but they do. And that just makes me feel good. And I'd rather have that than no dialogue at all. It always makes my day. And I would rather have that any day than nothing at all. Point number 6. The police in the US. So we've had quite a few encounters with the police while we were in the US during our 7-year stay. And the police is always very kind and always very friendly. And they're the kindest people in the world, and they're so polite, but don't joke with them. Because once you joke with them or you don't do what they say, they're not kidding. For example, the police in Germany, of course, they're the law, and they will act if you don't follow their rules or follow what they're saying, but they're not going to be as forceful and, I don't want to say violent, but yeah. The police system in the US and in Germany is a lot different. The US police is a lot stricter for sure, and does not have a loose hand. Point number 7. Okay, I'm sorry I have to bring this up, but the gun laws, a true culture shock for any European coming to the US. It's just the freeness of handling guns Being able to buy a gun at a store like Walmart that also sells groceries, or being able to carry a gun on your body, walking around with a gun on the street during hunting season, just having a gun in the back of your truck, that is just something you have to get used to as a German coming to the US. Now, when I was over there with my family, I went hunting too. And we also own guns because it was just a part of the culture. And we bought guns too. We bought guns at Walmart, and we as Germans needed a background check. It took about 3 days. We came back and we were allowed to buy a gun. So we had a few guns, a couple of guns. I went hunting, and because it was just a thing you would do as a kid. And of course, you don't want to be left out. But how some Americans handle guns and the gun euphoria is just something you really have to get used to when you come to the US. Of course, people have guns in Germany, people hunt in Germany, people shoot as a sport in Germany, but you have to have a license to have a gun, and there's certain restrictions. And there's certain things you have to fulfill. So it's not in the least as easy to have a gun as it is in the US. Number 8. So, they say everything is bigger in the US, or do they just say that about Texas? But it's true. At least a lot of stuff is bigger in the US, and I'm referring to the portion sizes. If you get a cup of soda at a gas station, the smallest size is half a liter. That's a small soda, like 0.5. I'm not sure how much that is in ounces, but then the biggest cup you can get is like 1.5 liters. And compared to European Coke bottles or Coke glasses you can get at restaurants, that is quite a lot. The only time we really have huge cups like that is in the movie theater, actually, where you can actually get 1.5 liters, I think. But you would usually get that with 3 or 4 people and have a huge ass bucket of popcorn to it, and you would walk out with your stomach hurting because it's so much and Europeans are just not used to it. But in the US, it's normal, and also Europeans, or at least Germans, haven't gotten a hang of the free refill concept yet, because in the US, you can just get free refills. You already have cups this big, but you can just get free refills. Not at all places, but at a lot of places when you eat out. And you don't have that in Germany. Point number 9. Okay, so even if you come to the US as a Christian or a believer, as a religious person, you are going to be surprised by how many churches there are. So we lived in Piedmont, Missouri, a small town with a population of 2,000 people, and we had like 18 churches. Just divide the amount of churchgoers there are by 18 churches, and you will get like 12 people per church. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but there is a lot of churches in the US. And I'm pretty sure it's like that in every state, not just in Missouri. It's because going to church is a very special thing. I also enjoyed going to church because it's like a little living community, and it's like having your football club, whatever. And it's really, really fun just coming together, socializing. And church in the US is very different than church in Europe or in Germany. Because in Germany, it's still very old-fashioned, and you still hear the organ, and there's still the old wooden benches, and the churches are beautiful, but they're like 800 years old. But in the US, they're not that old. Church is very modern. You have rock pop bands. And it's just a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, but there's just a whole bunch of churches in the US. And I think if you would like divide 300 million people by so and so many churches, you would get 40 people per church in the US. And last but not least, point number 10, culture shock number 10. We as Germans, we praise our bread. Now, I'm not a fan of saying Germany's the best at making that, or Germans are the best in doing that, or whatever, but you know what? Germans make the best bread, deal with it. The Germans are known all across the world for making the best bread. But if you come to the US as a German, then you will experience the biggest culture shock there is, because you will only get pillows. You will only get bread you can rest on at night without it hurting, and it's gonna get squished like that because it's basically only toast bread. Like, there's different varieties of toast you can buy, like whole wheat toast and everything, and it's not all just toast, but it's all soft bread. And compared to a loaf of German bread, like German bread is very hard and crusty, and if you cut into it, then in the middle it's soft. That just with a dab of butter, and it just tastes so good. And if you come to the US and all you find is just soft, mushy bread, which is good for making sandwiches if you toast it, or if you make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. The best peanut butter jelly sandwiches, I love them so much. But for us Germans, it doesn't really have anything to do with bread. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my little list of culture shocks we experienced as Germans in the US. Follow me on Instagram, it's maxxopolitan with a double X, just like on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for more videos every week. And also a quick shout out to my girl Kim Cross's Borders. Check out her culture shock video, but in reverse, things she experienced as an American when she came to Germany. Follow her on YouTube if you like German American videos, and if you like traveling videos in general, that is just the channel to subscribe to. I will put a link to Kim Cross's Borders channel and to her culture shock video down below in the description. If you have any negative or positive feedback, be sure to post it down in the comments. Guys, I see you next week, latest, if not even before. Ciao, tschüss, bis denn.